அனுசரணை வழங்குவோர்
Prima Stella Set Yogurt.
ஜனாதிபதி கோட்டபாய ராஜபக்ஷ அவர் ஜனாதிபதியாக இருக்கும்போது, முன்னாள் ஜனாதிபதியாக இருக்கும்போது அவர் பதவி விலகியதற்கு பல பின்புலங்கள் இருந்ததாக சொல்லப்படுகிறது.
If there is any contribution from these various so-called elements, family would have contributed more than 80%.
பொருளாதார திட்டங்களை வகுத்தாலும் இனப்பிரச்சனை தொடர்ந்து இருக்குமாக இருந்தால் உங்கள் போன்றவர்களுடைய திட்டங்களும் வெற்றியளிக்காத வாய்ப்பே இருக்கு. அதற்கு என்ன செய்யலாம்னு நீங்க நினைக்கிறீங்க?
We compromise our economy and to do these politics, they sort of got the country into a huge mess. Politicians from both the sides, I'm just saying.
Why these our Tamil people couldn't able to come over in the good economy positions?
Truth is that it is nothing to do with your origin or the race or the caste or whatever. It is the very system of the country which does not appreciate entrepreneurship.
ரணில் விக்ரமசிங்க அவர்கள் இலங்கையினுடைய பொருளாதாரத்தை கட்டி அமைக்கின்ற ஒரு சிறந்த ஜனாதிபதியாக வருகிறார்கள் என்று நம்புகிறீர்களா?
How long can we eat, drink and survive without settling our loans, without developing an economy where there is your GDP has growth?
தமிழர்களினுடைய பூர்வீக நிலங்கள் ஆக்கிரமிப்பு செய்யப்படுகிறது. புதிய புதிய விகாரைகள் இன்றும் கூட நீங்கள் வந்திருக்கின்ற நேரத்தில் ஒரு விகாரைக்கான கட்டுமான பணிகள் நடைபெற்று கொண்டிருக்கிற சூழ்நிலையில் தொடர்ந்து ஆக்கிரமிப்புகள், அத்துமீறல்கள், காணி கையகப்படுத்தப்படுகிற நிலை தமிழ் மக்களுக்குடைய பிரச்சனையாக இருக்கிறது. இதற்கான ஒரு தீர்வாக உங்கள் தரப்பிலிருந்து எமது மக்களுக்கு என்ன செய்தியை சொல்ல போகிறீர்கள்? வணக்கம் நேயர்களே, மற்றும் ஒரு ஞாயிறு இரவு பொழுதில் ஸ்பாட்லைட் நிகழ்ச்சியில் இன்றைய நாளிலும் உங்களை சந்திப்பதில் மகிழ்ச்சி. ஒவ்வொரு ஞாயிற்றுக்கிழமையும் ஒவ்வொரு பிரதிநிதிகளை ஸ்பாட்லைட் நிகழ்ச்சி களங்கண்டு வருகிறது. இன்றும் ஒரு பிரதிநிதி நமது ஸ்பாட்லைட் நிகழ்ச்சியில் அழைப்பு ஏற்று வருகை தந்திருக்கிறார். வழமை போல எங்களுடைய தமிழ் பரப்பில் இருக்கின்ற, வடகிழக்கில் இருக்கின்ற தமிழ் பேசுகின்ற அரசியல் பிரதிநிதிகளை ஸ்பாட்லைட் நிகழ்ச்சிக்கு அழைத்துக் கொள்வது வழமை. அவ்வப்போது சற்று வித்தியாசமாக வேறு மொழி பேசுபவர்களையும் வேறு மதம் சார்ந்த, இனம் சார்ந்தவர்களையும் அழைத்து அவர்களுடைய கருத்துக்களையும் நாங்கள் பதிவு செய்வது வழமை. இன்றும் அவ்வாறான ஒரு பிரதிநிதியை தான் ஸ்பாட்லைட் நிகழ்ச்சியிலே நாங்கள் அழைத்திருக்கிறோம். என்னோடு சேர்ந்து இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை தொகுத்து வழங்குவதற்காக ஊடகவியலாளர் முகுந்தர் என்னோடு இணைந்துள்ளார். வணக்கம்.
வணக்கம் சுலக்ஷன். உறவுகள் அனைவருக்கும் அன்பான வணக்கம்.
இன்றைய ஸ்பாட்லைட் நிகழ்ச்சியிலே கலந்து சிறப்பிக்க இருக்கிறார் இலங்கையினுடைய முன்னணி ஊடக நிறுவனத்தினுடைய ஸ்தாபகராகவும் பிரதானியாகவும் செயல்பட்டு கொண்டிருக்கின்ற தொழில் அதிபர் திலீப் ஜெயவீர் அவர்கள் எங்களோடு இணைந்து கொள்கிறார். வணக்கம்.
வணக்கம்.
இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியிலே தமிழ் மொழி மூலமான கேள்விகளுக்காக நான் பல கேள்விகளை முன்வைக்க இருக்கிறேன். அதே நேரத்திலே ஆங்கில மொழி மூல உரையாடல் இங்கு முழுமையான நேர்காணலிலே இடம்பெற இருக்கிறது. அதற்காக முகுந்தன் அவர்களும் அவருடைய பதிலும் ஆங்கிலத்திலே இருக்க போகிறது. முதலிலே என்னுடைய கேள்வியிலிருந்து ஆரம்பிக்கலாம் முகுந்தன் அவர்களே. முதலாவது கேள்வி, உங்களுடைய யாழ்ப்பாணத்திற்கான விஜயம் என்பது பொதுவாக ஒரு அரசியலினுடைய ஒரு அடிப்படை ஆரம்பமாக இருக்கிறதா, இல்லாவிட்டால் அடுத்து வரப்போகின்ற ஜனாதிபதி தேர்தலினுடைய நோக்கமாக அது இருக்க போகிறதா? உங்களுடைய யாழ்ப்பாண விஜயம் எப்படி பார்க்கப்படுகிறது?
About your Jaffna visit, so many people are thinking that you are initiating the political agenda. So what is the truth?
Sulakshan and Mohandan, thank you for having me here at the studio. I am grateful for me being invited here. To answer your question, whether this is part of a presidential campaign, I think it is a bit of a narrow definition of what I try to do. I have been politically sensitive, active, social character for a very long time, over 30 years or so, or even little more than that. I was very much active as a student in the school itself, politically somewhat inclined. I went to the 5 classes, they call it by the JVP, when I was in grade 8. So when I was in grade 11, again I went to the same 5 classes. Then I came to the university in Colombo, the faculty of law. There also, when I saw this issue with regard to the student welfare, I started my own party with some friends. Some of them are from, my good friends are from Jaffna, some of them practice here and some are not here. So we formed a new party. We brought some sort of a positive change to the university political culture. So since then, I am considered to be anyway a politically sensitive person. I have from those JVP classes to last time when I supported Gotabaya Rajapaksa to come to power, it was not because I wanted a personal gain or anything out of it. It is at the time what I thought was correct. So now after what happened to the Gotabaya regime and Mr. Gotabaya himself, there are lots of people told me, and I saw on social media as well, that don't bring this kind of people. Then I was thinking to myself, of course, we trust someone, we sort of try to put them in that seat expecting country to prosper. So we had, everything was done in good faith. But finally, I see that we have no control. Then they sort of form their own groups, then the family come together, then they do their own thing. So in that context only, Sulakshan, I started propagating the concept of that more participation from the active citizens of Sri Lanka. Out of those active citizens, I consider the entrepreneurs of Sri Lanka are very important, because if you look at the trend in the world, when the countries are being developed and you see that super gains in certain countries, I see that entrepreneurship in those governments. I mean, our neighboring India is a good example. So I think historically we have missed that opportunity, getting the entrepreneurship partnership to the government for governing of the country. It is important that we get more and more of them to participate in this game. So this is, if you are to say what I do here now is to become the president, I think it is very narrow definition of it. It is not my personal expectation to become anyone for that matter. It is my belief today that I should not think of working for forces where I don't have control. So we try to build a sort of a force which can impact the country's political narrative, and thereby we take active participation in politics, not just doing a campaign or two, but we are part of it. So that doesn't necessarily mean that I am having this dream of becoming the president. It is much larger dream.
Okay. பொருளாதாரத்தை கட்டியெழுப்ப வேண்டுமாக இருந்தால் பொருளாதார நிபுணர்களாலும் பொருளாதார ஆய்வாளர்களும் சொல்லப்படுகின்ற மிக முக்கியமான இரண்டு பிரச்சனைகள் சொல்கிறார்கள். ஒன்று இலங்கைக்கான சிறந்த பொருளாதார கொள்கை திட்டம் தேவை என்பது, இன்னும் ஒன்று இனப்பிரச்சனைக்கான தீர்வை மேற்கொள்ள வேண்டும் என்று சொல்லி. பொருளாதார திட்டங்களை வகுத்தாலும் இனப்பிரச்சனை தொடர்ந்து இருக்குமாக இருந்தால் உங்கள் போன்றவர்களுடைய திட்டங்களும் வெற்றியளிக்காத வாய்ப்பே இருக்கும். அதற்கு என்ன செய்யலாம் என்று நீங்கள் நினைக்கிறீர்கள்?
He says the both sector in the every countries, one is politics, one is financial. So when the financial policies are good, the other part of political within the community, there's no relationship with the community, no balance. That kind of issues still facing in the both sector, the country will suffer. So what is your advice how to balance both financial and the political expectation?
Sulakshan, it is very simple. A country either can look at it as an entity purely on a social welfare angle of it, or maybe a political body. But we should not forget, country is all about its economy. It's like a company. In a company, it's like the finance part of it. From your capital management, then the revenues, your expenditure, how you manage all of them. To keep who? First of all, your internal customers, as in the staff, happy. So if you take the same analogy into politics, so politics of a country is about HR department of a company. You have to keep the people always happy, and their aspirations are met, their hopes are being always crafted, and you give them hope. But the ground reality is, all that can happen only if your economy is strong. Like in a company's finances are strong, you can look after your staff. You can give them hopes, aspirations, all that. But when you don't have the economic power, you fail. So I think we are giving the wrong emphasis to politics. Politics is not the main product. Main product is the economic product. So where we have gone wrong after 75 years of our independence is that we have always given the priority to politics, not actually to the economics of it, the country's economics. The country's economy got this kind of into a situation like this because we didn't manage the economy. Instead, we were trying to manage politics of the country. So politics in any country is the same. It is the power of the economy which will in fact give values and the sort of the quality that the politics of the country would need. So I think if at all it is 80-20, I would say 80% of that should be completely on the economy of a country. After all, these people need their basics, their food, their shelter, their housing, the clothes. So without that, starting from that, the aspiration of the youth, their dreams, how will a government meet them without having a strong economy? I think we are giving the wrong emphasis to the politics. It should change, and then only we can move forward.
Because of the war, not only because of the war, most of our Tamil peoples are displaced. They went, they are living like as a diaspora in various countries. Wherever they are living, they are very good in politics and economy, financial, everything. But whoever still in this peninsula, our Tamil people can't become a good position like whoever left from our country. I'm asking only the Tamil society. So if you feel that economy is the main thing in a country, so why these our Tamil people couldn't able to come over in the good economy positions?
Mundan, it's like this. While I try to understand your question, there are two angles to this. As I very clearly told you, even the civil conflict we had in this country was a political due to political interference to the system. So it had a political perspective to that conflict, and that is how this whole thing erupted. You know that, and over the years. So that is again politics and forgetting the most important aspect of it, our economy. So we compromise our economy, and to do this politics, they sort of got the country into a huge mess. Politicians from both the sides, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Now, your second question in that is, when the Tamil people, especially in the peninsula and the northern part of it, they do well when they go abroad, but not the same when they are here. I would put it this way. It has not been the situation 3 decades ago. If you look at, I don't know, Mohandan, you're aware of it. If you take Colombo's largest corporates, are run by are owned by sometimes the Tamil people, which is to our happiness actually. They participate in a big way. Now, if you look at any industry, retail industry, the hospitality industry, media industry, you name it. Most of the industries to date are controlled by people of a Tamil origin. Most of them are from the northern part of Sri Lanka. So, when you ask me this question, actually it is for me to say this way: this country does not give anyone that opportunity, not just the Tamil people. Now, I always feel, had I been somewhere else in the world, I would have been much more successful entrepreneur. Here, the entrepreneurs are not being appreciated by the state. So entrepreneurs are not given the equal opportunities, Sulakshan. Entrepreneurs are not being encouraged. Here, we do the exact opposite. Do you know that if you are to even build a small restaurant, how many approvals that you have to get?
Yeah.
If you have to build a hotel, how many approvals? If you have to build a cinema, if you have to build anything, if you have to start a business. So this system makes it difficult for anyone, irrespective of their origin or ethnicity or religion. So why they feel it that way is not because of the reason, because of their the ethnicity or the geographical background. They feel that when they go out, there's more opportunity. That is because the countries who admire and appreciate entrepreneurship, they are run on systems, not on one-on-one individual basis, or what we call it is case-by-case basis. So you go to another country, which we call developed countries. There are systems. So you can become, irrespective of your origin, you can be a part of the system. In Sri Lanka, you don't get it. If at all, that is why people think that you should go behind politicians to get these things as favors. Actually, one should not go behind anyone, because we are not asking for a favor. We are in fact adding value to the nation. So then you should be given the opportunity. So Mohandan, the truth is that it is nothing to do with your origin or the race or the caste or whatever. It is the very system of the country which does not appreciate entrepreneurship. If they appreciate entrepreneurship, they won't ask your religion or your race or your whatever or your background or anything. You are given equal opportunities. So the point is, it is due to that larger perspective of the sort of misunderstanding or whatever with regard to the entrepreneurship. This has been the outcome of it.
இனி ஒரு விதி செய்வோம். உங்களுடைய யாழ்ப்பாணத்திற்கான வருகையினுடைய பொருளாதார தொழில் முனைவோர்களை ஒன்றுபடுத்தி அதற்கான சொற்பொழிவு தொடர் நாடளாவிய ரீதியில் அதை ஏற்பாடு செய்திருக்கிறீர்கள். உங்களுடைய அந்த நிகழ்ச்சியினுடைய முன்னாயத்த சில பேனர்களை பார்க்கும்போது அந்த விடயம் இருக்கிறது. அதிலே ஒரு சந்தேகம் ஒன்று வருகிறது. அரமுன என்கின்ற ஒரு பெயர் சிங்களத்திலிருந்து நேரடியாக அதை ஆங்கிலத்தில் பார்க்கும்போதும் அரமுன என்று சொல்லித்தான் அதில் எழுதி, ஆனால் தமிழிலே அதை நோக்கம் என்ற ஒரு விடயத்தை பயன்படுத்தி இருக்கிறார்கள். இது யாழ்ப்பாணத்திற்கு நீங்கள் வருவதற்கான மக்களிடம் இந்த மொழியை இதை அடையாளப்படுத்தி விட்டு இங்கு நாங்கள் சொற்பொழிவு செய்ய வேண்டும் என்பதன் ஒரு நோக்கம் கருதித்தான் அது நோக்கம் என்று கொண்டு வரப்பட்டதா? ஏனென்று சொல்லி சொன்னால் அரமுனை என்பதை அப்படி ஆங்கிலத்திலும் நேரடியாக அரமுனை என்று அப்படியே எழுதியப்பட்டிருக்கு, ஆனால் தமிழில் நோக்கம் என்று மாற்றப்படும். இது என்ன காரணத்திற்காக இது கொண்டு வரப்படும்?
That you are now having the chain seminar and the workshop called Aramuna. We saw the brochures and everything, so it's named in Sinhala and English same Aramuna, but in Tamil the pure translation. So is that any kind of special agenda to catch our Tamil people's attention?
No. Sulakshan, it is simple. first of all, I must tell you, in Sri Lanka, 100% of the people understand, 100% of the people understand Tamil or Sinhala. Right?
Official language.
In Sri Lanka, there are people who don't understand these two languages. Technically, there shouldn't be. Right? And I know by experience, this or that. So basically, to tell the truth, it is actually a more designing thing, because Aramuna, when you translate that to English, it doesn't sound very good, because it's like a goal. The word is goal or maybe target. It doesn't sound good. There is no other reason. And also, by putting it as Aramuna,
Tamil.
in English Aramuna, the people still understand it. People who do not understand Aramuna would understand Nokam. So that is why. There is no other agenda. It's more like a, looking good.
ஓகே. கோட்டபாய ராஜபக்ஷ அவர்கள் ஜனாதிபதியாக வருவதற்கு பின்னின்றவர்கள், இல்லாவிட்டால் அவர்களுடைய வருகைக்கு காரணமானவர்களில் நீங்களும் ஒருவராக சொல்லப்பட்டது. ஆனால் அவர் பதவியை ராஜினாமா செய்த பின்பு அதிகமாக அவரை நீங்கள் விமர்சித்ததான ஒரு குற்றச்சாட்டும் இருக்கிறது. என்னுடைய கேள்வி என்னவென்று சொல்லி சொன்னால், பொருளாதார ரீதியிலே அதை நாட்டை கட்டியெழுப்பினால் ஒரு சிறப்பான அனைத்து விடயங்களையும் வெல்ல முடியும் என்ற உங்களுடைய பதிலில் இருந்து, கோட்டபாய ராஜபக்ஷ அவர்கள் ஜனாதிபதியாக இருக்கும்போது ஆலோசகராக நீங்கள் செயற்பட்டனர். இலங்கையிலே முன்னணியில் இருக்கின்ற தொழிலதிபர்களில் நீங்கள் முக்கியமான ஒருவர். உங்களுடைய அனுபவம் சார், வர்த்தகம் சார் ஆலோசனைகளை எல்லாம் அவரிடம் நீங்கள் சொல்லி, ஏன் அந்த காலத்திலே ஏற்பட்ட பொருளாதார நெருக்கடியை உங்கள் போன்றவர்களால் ஒரு ஆலோசனை வழங்கி அதை நிவர்த்தி செய்ய முடியாமல் போனது? ஏன் அந்த தவறு நடந்தது?
He asked, you are also the one of the key person of Mr. Gotabaya's victory. So after the victory, everyone knows that he struggled and he lost. So when he faced that kind of crisis, as a important or as a unique advisor or backbone of Mr. Gotabaya, why you contribute your special individual aspects, like you are a very big known
இப்போது எடுக்கிற திட்டங்களை அப்போது நடைமுறைப்படுத்தி இருக்கலாம்.
As a well-known business magnate and very good experience in the politics and everything. So why you didn't contribute that time physically or mentally or financially to go to? Now you are criticizing. Now after he lost, now you are criticizing Mr. Gotabaya. Now you have telling a lot of good things that entrepreneurs, this kind of thing. So why you apply this in those time?
It is a simple thing. Now, Mohandan, it's like this. First of all, I helped him as a concept that Sri Lanka needs a political who does not have a very political, who does not have a big political agenda as a leader of the country, so that he can think independently and act. So the very basis of my support to him came on that premise, that he will act independently. And he had also promised us and most of our colleagues and friends that he would not give in into the family, as we all know, Rajapaksha family. So that was the promise, that he is coming and he will act independently and he will not work for such powers. So that's the basic premise for me to help. I mean, I am not, I have told many a times, I am not like any other businessman, help a politician and expect anything in return for me to do business. That's all for the country. So when he first became the president, within weeks, he appointed Dr. P.B. Jayasundara as his secretary, the most controversial, ill-famed gentleman as a secretary. So that was a huge shock to me personally and to many of my friends, because we all knew Jayasundara was a go-between. So then obviously you saw, oh, now though he said that he is going to be fully independent, his secretary is going to be a family representative. So that is where my initial disappointment came to my mind, and that I immediately went and expressed. Not that I am criticizing now. Actually, I don't criticize even now. I have a view. Doesn't mean that I criticize. So I asked him that. So from there onwards, we saw how that family, how the family was walking into the system very aggressively. To a point, they managed to change the constitution, the 20th Amendment, and brought Basil Rajapaksa, who was not even in the national list, who did not even contest, not just as an MP, but as a Minister of Finance. So now, as you can understand, Mohandan, even though I am his best friend, the circumstances are such that I can't help. I mean, I would love to help him as a friend. He's a good human being. I always say that. That's not the problem. But the system is totally, got complexed. And within that, still, I, as a friend, whatever I could do, I did. Because one thing is a friendship, other thing is a country. Because for 5 years we have to wait, right? So you can't be sort of obstructing going concern. Not that I completely sort of moved away from it, but there was no opportunity for us to go and contribute, So it is natural for us to move away or move out from that, because you can't contribute anyway. You understand what I say? So, but if you ask him, I mean, as far as our relationship is concerned, I always maintain that as a healthy relationship. But I was very much critical from that day onwards until the day he left the position. I was critical, constructively critical, because most of what he did was due to the family pressure than of what he wanted to do. That doesn't mean that he becomes a good man. I mean, the very thing that people expected from him was a strong leadership. But what I say is that is a background. In that background, it is very difficult someone to walk in and give any bona fide advice, any advice in good faith. It's very difficult. I suppose you understand, Sulaksha.
ஜனாதிபதியாக வருவதற்கு 69 லட்சம் மக்களினுடைய பெரும்பான்மை ஆதரவோடு ஜனாதிபதியாக வந்தார். வந்து சில காலங்கள் அவருடைய செயற்பாடு, அவர் ஜனாதிபதியாக இருந்த நடைமுறைகள் எல்லாம் சிறப்பாக இருந்தது. அதற்கு பிறகு ஒரு போராட்டம் வருகிறது. அவர் அதிலிருந்து தன்னை ராஜினாமா செய்து கொள்கிறார். சீராக சரியாக வந்து கொண்டிருந்த அவருடைய அரசியல் பயணமாக இருக்கலாம், ஜனாதிபதியாக அவர் நகர்ந்து கொண்ட விடயங்கள் இருக்கலாம். எங்கு பிழை நடந்ததால் அவருக்கு இவ்வாறான ஒரு நெருக்கடி ஏற்பட்டு ராஜினாமா செய்தார்? பிரதான காரணம் என்ன அங்கே?
You know the full theoretical history of Gotabaya's those time. So which is the wrong point and which is the critical point? It's generate the huge bad opinion for Gotabaya.
See, there are many reasons, but out of the many reasons, I think the biggest cracks started sort of being visible. One, as I said, the appointment of Jayasundara. The second biggest was the 20th Amendment. When the 20th Amendment was presented to the Parliament, that reminded people of Rajapaksa arrogance. the selfishness, and the fact that they were not looking at the country at large but themselves. So that was the biggest crack in that government, as I feel it. So after that,
இல்லை இதுக்கிடையில் ஒரு கேள்வி கேட்கணும்னு நான் கேட்குறேன். இவருடைய ஆலோசனையும் இவருடைய பின்புலமும் இருந்தது. ஜனாதிபதியாக அவர் வரும்போதும் அவர் வந்த சில காலங்களிலும் இவருடைய ஆலோசனை அங்கே இருந்தது. கோட்டபாய ராஜபக்ஷனுடைய முழு ஃபேமிலியையும் உள்ளுக்கு கொண்டு வருகிற என்ற ஒரு விடயத்திலாக இருக்கலாம், 20 திருத்த சட்டத்தை கொண்டு வந்ததாக இருக்கலாம், ஜெயசுந்தரவை நியமித்ததாக. அப்போது இவர்கள் இப்படியான செயற்பாட்டை செய்ய வேண்டாம், நாட்டிற்கு ஒரு நல்ல ஒரு வழிகாட்டியாக இருக்க வேண்டும், நீங்களும் சேறு பூசப்படுவீர்கள் அரசியலில் என்ற விடயத்தை ஒரு ஆலோசனையாக இவரால் ஏன் வைக்க முடியாமல் போனது?
But you list the things, the bad things happens in Gotabaya's time. So you told Mr. Jayasundara and the 20th Amendment. So in those time, what you did, what you advised to Gotabaya?
So I write through. I mean, you can refer to my social media, especially my Facebook page. I have been pretty vociferous about PB Jayasundara. I was pretty vociferous. I was openly writing against him. Not just that, I personally raised my concerns, sometimes my anger, I would say, directly to him. Secondly, 20th Amendment, it is a well-known fact that I was against. And it's a well-known fact among the circles that I was against. These are the two things that I mentioned. But at the same time, you know, Sulakshan, I know for a fact that Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa never expected in his cabinet, other than for his brother Mahinda Rajapaksa, anyone else. So that was his probably sort of illusion, dream, that he thought there will only be one Rajapaksa in his cabinet, others will voluntarily refuse to come to the cabinet. But after the whole thing, there were 4 other Rajapakshas in that cabinet, and that looked very ugly even to the people of Sri Lanka. Then again, that reminded people of this Rajapaksa menace. Then the Gotabaya Rajapaksa came to power with the support of the left wing of the constituency. So they are very different to the south, what do you call, the right wing of the people. They are very that way rational than emotional. They question because they are the leftists, the nationalists. So they don't just give in to things. So along with these decisions, one after the other, they started losing respect to the system. So as a result, he started losing his base. If you understand, I mean, if you study how he started losing his fan base on his own social media pages, that was due to this fact. It is not that the opposition made him weak. It is they themselves made him weak. So there was nothing that we could do about that. It's so much visible, Sulakshan. But we were sad. It is for when we thought it is a good opportunity for the country to sort of come out of this crisis, because it's a political mess in this country. So if you have to come out of it, you have to first bring in a new political culture. But we thought we missed that opportunity.
அடுத்து என்னுடைய கேள்வி, ஜனாதிபதி கோட்டபாய ராஜபக்ஷ அவர் ஜனாதிபதியாக இருக்கும்போது, முன்னாள் ஜனாதிபதியாக இருக்கும்போது, அவர் பதவி விலகியதற்கு பல பின்புலங்கள் இருந்ததாக சொல்லப்படுகிறது. இப்போது பெருமுனையில் சொல்லப்படுகின்ற காரணம் அவருடைய குடும்பம் அதற்கு ஒரு காரணமாக இருந்தது. உதாரணமாக மஹிந்த ராஜபக்ஷவோ, ஃபேசில் ராஜபக்ஷவோ, நாமல் ராஜபக்ஷவோ போன்றவர்களுடைய பின்புலமும் இருந்தது. அதை தாண்டி பூகோள அரசியல் என்று வரும்போது அமெரிக்காவினுடைய பின்புலம் இருந்ததாக சிலர் சொல்வார்கள், இந்தியாவினுடைய பின்புலம் என்று சொல்வார்கள், இப்போது அதிகமாக சொல்கிறார்கள் சீனாவினுடைய பின்புலம் தான் அப்போது இருந்தது. இதிலே எது உண்மை? அவருடைய நெருங்கிய நண்பர் என்ற அடிப்படையிலும் ஒரு ஆலோசனையாக இருந்தவர் என்ற அடிப்படையிலும் அவர் இந்த விடயத்தை எப்படி பார்க்கிறார்?
He wants to find the truth of Mr. Gotabaya's resign. Some people are saying that Aragala, some people are saying that internal family agenda, some people are saying that geopolitics, America, China and India. So what is your answer for that?
My frank, honest answer is that all what you are mentioning would have been contributed in various forms.
So if it is the geopolitics, what do you believe that which country?
No, let me explain, Mohandan. But I today believe and I am convinced that Gotabaya Rajapaksha's appointment to the presidency was not to the happiness of Rajapaksha family. So they always resisted that because he was moving away from their traditional Rajapaksha behavior towards a more progressive path. That was not being liked by the family. So that is my personal observation too. So it is not that hearsay. So they always disliked him. So it was their hope for him being out. So various activities that they were involved in contributed very much towards this departure. One first thing being, as I told you, the 20th Amendment. That I know for a fact. It was brought into the parliament. They got the support much against his personal view. Right? So that contributed to, if there is any contribution from these various so-called elements, family would have contributed more than 80%. Right? So then when a system becomes weak, so everybody sees opportunity. So there could be a geopolitical hand in it. There could be. And at the same time, they who prepared the grounds for anyone to get involved and interfere. So Aragale, the way I understand it, is a formation of all these elements, but mostly or largely contributed to this aspect of it. When you said Aragale, initially, I mean, I know those IT graduates, IT professionals who sort of thought that how can they even operate their day-to-day activities without power. So they were very innocent crowd. But for it to become such a large force, the unhappiness of the people of Sri Lanka contributed a lot. Now, I wouldn't want to say that, but I must tell you, now, Basil Rajapaksa was the Minister of Finance, right? And he is all-powerful Minister of Finance because he had his closest confidant, B.B. Jayasundara, as the Secretary of the President. He controlled it. But what failed at that time was more than anything else, the essential supplies, right? Essential supplies, which had nothing to do with anything else other than but the lack of dollars and the discipline. I don't know whether you remember, Basil Rajapaksa was brought back to Sri Lanka and gave the Ministry of Finance in the pretext of getting down a very intelligent finance minister, because then the Minister of Petroleum had increased the fuel prices by, I can't remember exactly, some 20 rupees or something. right? There was a no confidence motion against him. So if that is so, it's a good question for everyone to ask, who really contributed to this mess? That is the truth.
இப்போது இருக்கின்ற ஜனாதிபதி ரணில் விக்ரமசிங்க அவர்கள் ஜனாதிபதியாக வருவதற்கு முதல், நான் நினைக்கிறேன் நாடாளுமன்றத்திற்கே வருவதற்கு முதல், உங்களுடைய தொலைக்காட்சி இல்லாவட்டால் இன்னும் ஒரு சிங்கள மொழி பேசுகிற தொலைக்காட்சியிலே ஒரு நேர்காணல் இருக்கிறது. நாடு நெருக்கடியில் இருக்கிறது, மக்கள் எல்லாம் வரிசையில் நிற்கிறார்கள். இந்த பொருளாதார நெருக்கடி என்ன தீர்வு, நீங்கள் ஜனாதிபதியாக இருந்திருந்தால் என்ன செய்திருப்பீர்கள் என்ற ஒரு கேள்வி முன்வைக்கப்படுகிறது. அப்போது ரணில் விக்ரமசிங்க பதில் சொல்கிறார், நான் ஜனாதிபதியாக இருந்திருந்தால் இப்படி ஒரு வரிசை இருக்காது, அது சுமூகமாக இருந்திருக்கு. அவர் சொன்னதை போல இன்று பொருளாதார நெருக்கடியிலிருந்து ஒரு ஆறுதல் கொடுத்திருக்கிறார் என்று எல்லோரும் நம்புகிறார்கள். உங்களுடைய பார்வையில் ரணில் விக்ரமசிங்க அவர்கள் இலங்கையினுடைய பொருளாதாரத்தை கட்டி அமைக்கின்ற ஒரு சிறந்த ஜனாதிபதியாக வருகிறார்கள் என்று நம்புகிறீர்களா?
Do you believe that the current president, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, can solve this economic crisis? Because before he became as a president, he had an interview in your media network. So when the presenter asked about what you can do up when he was as a president. So when the Ranil Wickremesinghe said that I don't want allow the queues like that. But now public people are there believing that he solved little bit this queue problems, the polymer ekapata natara kara adu kara කියලා. So what do you think that Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe can
it is like this. The immediate reliefs that came about is not the economy. Economy is not about not having queues. Economy is not about just having fuel and LPG or just basic needs of the people. That is very minute percentage of economy. Economy is all about vision. Driving economy is all about a vision and strategy. So what I don't see in his government is the strategy. In a way, he has only a few more months to be in his seat. Also, he does not have the sort of cabinet that he probably would have wanted. I don't know. However, I don't see, considering the sort of crisis that we are in, the depth and the breadth of the crisis, that there is a sharp strategy and a plan for us to overcome this issue. At the moment, we do not pay our loans. So we are saving that money. You know that. Then if you look at the fuel consumption, it has in fact become almost less than half of it due to the usage, the listing of QR plus the fuel prices, the cost of it, and it has come down. And also at the same time, the economy has got contracted, or they have made it so small. They're contracting it. Most of the economic activities are sort of stopped. For example, construction industry is 10% of our GDP is basically now almost zero. So when you stop all that, there is a major saving of dollars. But it doesn't mean that we can move forward. It means that we don't do the basics that we have to do for country to progress or develop, but we eat, drink and survive. So after all, how long can we eat, drink and survive without settling our loans, without developing an economy where there is your GDP has growth, when there is image of the country, it matters a lot. Then the most important thing, the discouraged human capital of this country. People want to leave the country and go. People are not happy about the country. People don't have the confidence in the country. So, if we are to manage an economy, it is much bigger than just making sure that there are no queues on the street. Anyway, you are not supposed to have queues. So, it's not a major achievement per se. It is not like rocket science. It is just that probably every kid want to know, every youth would want to know, what's going to be my future and what is your plan for that? If you are not going to improve your production, quality of service, if you don't make more money, how am I going to be secure? So I don't see an answer to that question in this present regime.
நிகழ்ச்சியினுடைய நிறைவாக ஒரு கேள்வி. இப்போது தமிழர்களினுடைய பூர்வீக நிலங்கள் ஆக்கிரமிப்பு செய்யப்படுகிறது. புதிய புதிய விகாரைகள் இன்றும் கூட நீங்கள் வந்திருக்கின்ற நேரத்தில் ஒரு விகாரைக்கான கட்டுமான பணிகள் நடைபெற்று கொண்டிருக்கிற சூழ்நிலையில் தொடர்ந்து ஆக்கிரமிப்புகள், அத்துமீறல்கள், காணி கையகப்படுத்தப்படுகிற நிலை தமிழ் மக்களுக்குடைய பிரச்சனையாக இருக்கிறது. இதை புரிந்து கொண்டு ஒரு நல்லிணக்க ரீதியான பயணத்தை நாங்கள் மேற்கொள்வதற்காக உங்கள் போன்ற ஆர்வலர்கள் இந்த விடயங்களை இந்த பரப்பிலே பொருளாதார ரீதியிலே முன்னேற்ற வேண்டும் என்று சிந்திப்பவர்கள் இதற்கான ஒரு தீர்வாக உங்கள் தரப்பிலிருந்து எமது மக்களுக்கு என்ன செய்தியை சொல்ல போகிறீர்கள்?
Now you can see that our community in the living in northern province, we are having a very sensitive issue in our religious activities, and we are still have a land problems, and the archaeology department, we are still fighting with the archaeology department. So in case these kind of problems, so when you like you people are visiting to the northern province and doing a lot of workshops and seminars and these things, so do you have any solution like what you are starting now, that ini oru pudu vidhi sevu, so that kind of arrangements can solve these issues? So you have any special views or special ideas to the solution for this?
See, as I feel it, I have been feeling it right through. It's just that we did not have the control. But what I feel it is all should be looked at, including the issues, some of the issues that you mentioned and some of the issues that you didn't mention. I know there are issues.
Yes.
For the people who are part of this community. See, the point is, as I told you, the government should have a strategy based on how to run the economy. Your primary objective is to run the economy effectively of any government. So when you are running an economy effectively, as I mentioned it before, more than the physical resources, the human capital plays the biggest role. So when you say the human capital of Sri Lanka, it includes this large number of the people who come from the northern area of this country, and they are of a Tamil ethnicity. So, and also historically, as you know, that you have been very much part of the intellectual contribution to this country's economic growth. So how do we run and move forward and fight with the rest of the economies in the world by ignoring a very valuable section of the human capital of Sri Lanka? I think when you don't understand the concept of the human capital and its importance, only the governments behave like this, governments and the politicians. So if we are to come up with a solution, it should be based on a participatory model, so that single-mindedly it should help to make our economy the strongest. So in that, I believe emotionally and of course physically And even optically, there is something wrong for sure. I always believe, Mohandan, and I am not shy to say that or scared to say that, if Mohandan and Sulakshan feel that you are not an integral part of the society and you are not the same, you don't have the same rights as me, it is actually a emotional feeling, first of all. So human beings are all about emotions. Whether it is right or wrong, you tend to think so. So it is the responsibility of a government to somehow make sure that you don't feel it that way. So the more you feel it that way, you are not wholeheartedly there as part of this, the growth of the country. So the challenge is, forgetting all the old tools, how we can bring this human capital together towards achieving the final goal of us making ourselves a very strong economy, because we have all the resources in this country, including the human capital. So we can put them together, make sure this we are an entrepreneurial nation. Then the state itself would think like entrepreneurship and look at the resources, very effectively use them, and this kind of, especially the emotional things. Even in a company, your contribution would depend on how happy you are going to be. If you are an unhappy person, your contribution is that much less. So we need to look at it from a broader perspective, without getting caught to other concepts, the ill concepts. We'll talk about something really positive, so that we all feel, and there is in fact there is no discrimination, especially the concept of minority, which I don't like this word minority, because it is, I think, something which outsiders have come and put in our head, saying that majority minority business. So we have to take that off.
இதோடு நாங்கள் ஸ்பாட்லைட் நிகழ்ச்சியை நிறைவுக்கு கொண்டு வரலாம். இன்றைய ஸ்பாட்லைட் நிகழ்ச்சியிலே கலந்து சிறப்பித்திருந்தார் இலங்கையினுடைய முன்னணி ஊடக நிறுவனத்தினுடைய பிரதானியாகவும் பிரபல தொழிலதிபராகவும் இருக்கின்ற திலீப் ஜெயவீர் அவர்கள் கலந்து சிறப்பித்திருந்தார். அவருடைய ஒரு செயற்பாடு இல்லாவிட்டால் அவருடைய ஒரு நிகழ்ச்சி நிரலுக்காக யாழ்ப்பாணம் வருகை தந்த போது நேரத்தை ஒதுக்கி எமது கலையகம் வருகை தந்தமைக்கு அவருக்கு உங்களுடைய மனமார்ந்த நன்றிகள்.
நன்றி.
மீண்டும் மற்றொரு நிகழ்ச்சியில் உங்கள் அனைவரையும் சந்திக்கும் வரை விடைபெறப் போகும் நாங்கள் புலேந்திரன், சுலக்ஷன் மற்றும்
TS முகுந்தன். வணக்கம்.
அனுசரணை வழங்கியோர்
Prima Stella Set Yogurt.
ජයගන්න වැඩි වෙන්න.